Namaste and welcome back. In the last video, we have seen three different networking patterns, namely centralized networking, decentralized networking, and distributed networking. And we have seen that the blockchain applications will make use of the distributed networking, in which it prefers the peer-to-peer architecture for sharing of the data and to reach agreement or opinion on any transaction that happened in the data decentralized or blockchain applications. So this particular table that was there on the screen is showing the differences with respect to the three network patterns. That is, with respect to some properties like development, evolution, fault tolerance, maintenance, and scalability. So in all these properties, distributed networks is showing high impact. That means high flexibility among these properties. Distributed networks are especially for the medium range development. That means the development that can be done in the distributed networks are not that much easily done, or much maybe may not be very hard. So it is a mid-range development thing, and evolution is also very high. We have already seen that distributed networks are especially dealt with the fault tolerance. That means even though a node fails, then you can get the data from any other corner. While coming to the maintenance, distributed networks require high maintenance, where in case of centralized networks is very low, because only one central server will be there. If you take care of the central server, it is sufficient. While coming to the scalability, any number of nodes can be added in the distributed network. As the network grows, the complexity also increases. Anyhow, as the network grows, the fault tolerance also increases. So by and large, while comparing with the among the three patterns of the networks, distributed computing or distributed networks plays a major role and has more advantages compared to the previous two network patterns. So after this distributed network, this peer-to-peer networking, that means all the networks, all the nodes in the network have their own resources and computation capability, but they will join together to achieve a task. This is what is called peer-to-peer environment. Among this peer-to-peer among this particular peer-to-peer architecture, the efficiency of data transfer or data communication improved. So that is the reason in the peer-to-peer environment, slowly the entire network architectures from centralized and decentralized network architecture that was used in previously has slowly moved to the peer-to-peer architectures. The best example of the peer-to-peer architecture is BitTorrent, and the latest one, which has received significant attention, is interplanetary file system. In this video, I am going to present the concept of the BitTorrent, how the BitTorrent use the peer-to-peer networking, and the interplanetary file system. How can we make use of the interplanetary file system for the peer-to-peer networking or peer-to-peer file sharing, and how it can be used in the blockchain. These concepts I'm going to present in this particular video. So one thing you are supposed to remember, that blockchain is a decentralized and distributed network pattern, and the nodes communicate among themselves in a peer-to-peer fashion. So you may get confused between the peer-to-peer and distributed network and all, but here peer-to-peer in the sense all the nodes are self-capable of resources, that is processing or computing or memory or whatever it may be. It is self-sufficient. Each and every node in the network are self-sufficient. At the same time, the nodes will communicate among themselves on the fly whenever they want. That means they will detect who are the peer nodes, and they communicate the information regarding its own peers. Like that, the communication takes place and the network will be formed. This is what is called peer-to-peer fashion. That means there is no central trusted server or something, so that the communication has to pass through the server, and this kind of fashion will not be there in the peer-to-peer networks. The best example of this peer-to-peer network or peer-to-peer architecture is BitTorrent. Everyone is familiar of this BitTorrent, where you don't know from where the bits are coming into your computer or to whom bits are going out of your computer. Whenever you install the BitTorrent application, yeah, there will be a concept of seeds and leeches. So depending upon the number of seeds, the download rate will be increased, and depending upon the number of leeches, for some other person who wants to download, download rate will be increased. So this is the way how the BitTorrent protocol works. We'll see afterwards how in detail how the BitTorrent protocol will work. And in the recent years, in 2015-16, this interplanetary file system has become a very famous thing, which is very fast in the peer-to-peer file sharing thing. We'll see how this IPFS will be installed and how to use them. So by this time, you come to know that the ultimate aim of the peer-to-peer networking is to avoid the central authority. Like in banking servers or the client server architectures, there will be a central server. So we have seen the disadvantages of the central server. What is the impact if the server fails? So the ultimate aim of the BitTorrent or this IPFS is the peer-to-peer file sharing or peer-to-peer architecture, in which it completely avoids the central servers. In the same way, the blockchain is also developed especially to avoid the use of the central servers. Please remember that the blockchain technology is especially made to avoid the central authority. So once the central authority is not coming to the picture, then how the other things were maintained, like security, data structure, data maintenance, that we'll see in the later lectures. But for now, to have an understanding, we'll go for BitTorrent architecture. So once we know the BitTorrent architecture, you will get a complete picture that how the peer-to-peer things will work. So here BitTorrent is a peer-to-peer file sharing. As shown in the diagram here on the right hand side, there are some computers. All the computers are connected each other. So that means even though any link fails, they can communicate. One computer can communicate with the other computer through through any other computer in the network. So once the computer wants to connect, any computer wants to connect into the network, then first it will send a probe request to the all other computers. Then in turn, the computers will send back the list of connected nodes to that particular computer. So thereby, the requested computer will maintain the routing table that okay, this is the peer node available with me, and this for this peer node, many other nodes are also attached. In this way, the routing table will be maintained, and the peer-to-peer routing table will be maintained by each and every computer in the network. If any link failed, or if no communication exists between the computers, then because of the continuous sending of the probe requests, the fresh link information will be sent by all other computers. In this way, whenever the fresh information is available, then the corresponding routing tables will be updated. Thereby, they will come to know what is the fresh link available and what are the old links, or what are the dead links, and those dead links will be removed from the routing table to maintain the fresh routing table, and also to have the updated peer-to-peer structure. So this is the way how the peer-to-peer network architectures will work. So BitTorrent is also a peer-to-peer file sharing, if you look at the statistics in the early stages of the BitTorrent, that is in 2008, 2010, and 2012, the 30%, almost 30 to 35% of the internet traffic is happening only because of the BitTorrent protocols or BitTorrent applications. During the time, BitTorrent is a very popular application. If you want to download movies, or if you want to download any music files and all, or large files, then BitTorrent is a suitable application people used to choose. Basically, this BitTorrent consisting of a .torrent file, in which the torrent file consisting of tracker information, that is a special server information will be available in that particular .torrent file. That means whenever this torrent file is double clicked, automatically that special server information will be executed. Then the corresponding node will search for, is there any peer node with the corresponding file as available in the torrent application or not, will be checked by the computer. For example, this computer has a .torrent file, and when that torrent file is executed, then the server information will be executed. That means this particular torrent will act as a server, and this will send a request to the connected nodes or to the network over the internet. Any other computer is running the same type of torrent file or not. So whenever any computer identifies that any computer receives a request that the torrent related file is available with it, then it will send the reply. Then based upon the number of replies, the leeches and seeds concept will come into the picture. So here leeches indicates the peers from where the file is going to be downloaded. So every computer, every BitTorrent application consisting of two concepts, leeches and seeds. Leeches means from where the computer can download the file. So this computer, even though the BitTorrent application is installed, this computer does not know from which peer the file information is going to get. So the file sharing among these peer nodes is completely unknown, because no computer knows that from which computer he is receiving the part of the file, and the file will not be received as a whole, but it will be received in chunks. So that is reason BitTorrent download or upload will happen like a swarm. That means you don't know from which corner, which part of the file you are getting. But finally, whenever you get it, it will be assembled at the receiving end. And once the leeches are good, the leeches count is good, and if you might have downloaded the required file, then any peer downloaded a file can become a seeder. That means he can also give the part of the file to the rest of the peer nodes, or rest of the network, whoever wants the same file. That means once you have downloaded a file, then you can become a seeder to make the file available to the others. So torrent tracking, in the sense, in order to have this particular torrent tracking, whether the same kind of file is available or not, this particular BitTorrent protocols or BitTorrent applications will use a data structure called DHT. So this DHT means distributed hash table. So the corresponding hashes will be maintained in a data structure called a distributed hash table. With this DHT technology, each BitTorrent client or BitTorrent app that you have installed on your computer will function as a DHT node. So when you add a torrent using this dot torrent or some, there will be a magnetic link will be there. This is especially used to initiate the torrent action. The DHT node contacts nearby nodes as I shown in the diagram, and those other nodes can contact with other nodes like that. The replication of the repeated request will be sent throughout the network about the torrent information, so that if any node consisting of the torrent information or torrent related file related content, then that will be responded. Then that particular response will become as a peer node, and they will act as the seeder for the requested node to download the file. So if you can observe closely, in the entire BitTorrent operation, there is no central server or there is no server. Here, wherever the torrent application is there, because of the running of the torrent file, a server a code will be executed or code will be run. Then automatically it will send a request to the connected nodes in the network and will identify who are the peers consisting of the file. So in the same way, in all the peers will search for the required file related torrent content over the internet and will join as a peer nodes. And each and every torrent application will work or will share the data in terms of swarm. And at the same time, each node don't know from where the particular data is coming from the rest of the network. So this is the privacy will be maintained in the BitTorrent protocol. So by and large, you can understand that with the BitTorrent peer-to-peer network, peer-to-peer file sharing, first one is it will maintain the privacy. Second one is it will avoid the central servers. Third one is uh, the data will be sent over the network in the form of swarm, that you don't know from which part of the file you are getting into the into yourself, that is into your application. Finally, once all the chunks of the file was received, then it will be assembled at the receiving end and the entire file will be formed. So this is the by and broad understanding of the BitTorrent protocol. Now we'll see the most awaited IPFS interplanetary file system. This IPFS plus blockchain. That means if you use the blockchain applications along with the IPFS, then it will form the decentralized file system. We have seen several file systems like file allocation table, NTFS, and all. This IPFS will be working on top of the internet and will share the files among the peer nodes as very fast as possible. No other file system so far available will do this much fast uploading and downloading tasks. So IPFS originally created by John Bennett. He is the founder of the Protocols Lab, and the parallel the version of that is version control is also maintained on the GitHub. You can also download the code from the GitHub, or you may visit https://ipfs.io. So from that also you can download the IPFS software. So the basic idea of the IPFS is to use the best use of the hashing. So here hashes are the cryptographic hash functions. Cryptographic hash functions are a function or a function which generates or which will take any size input but generates a fixed size message digest. We'll see in detail the hashing concept in cryptography, that is in the later classes. But for now, understand that hashing, in a sense, a hash function can take an input of any size. The size may be of 1 KB or 1 MB or 1 GB or of any size, but it will generate only a fixed size output, that with that particular fixed size output, you cannot get the original input. So these are called one-way hash functions. Only from input to output you can get, but with output you cannot get the input. So this fixed size output is called message digest or digest. So this particular IPFS will make use of this particular hashes to distribute the file among the interplanetary file system in the peer-to-peer network or peer-to-peer system. So for this IPFS, there is no server because it is a peer-to-peer architecture. There is no server, no sign-up is required, like your Google Drive or any other thing. No sign-up is required. It is a direct communication among the peer nodes. This is very fast, secure, and reliable. Basically, in IPFS, what will happen is, if a client wants to, or client means a peer node, wants to retrieve any file that is available on the IPFS, what it has to do is it has to know only the hash of the particular file. So whenever the hash of the file was entered into the IPFS client or application that is installed on your computer, then IPFS then search through all the peer nodes and supplies the client the file with the message digest he entered into the client IPFS client. So you can think of like a BitTorrent protocol. In the BitTorrent protocol, what you do is you will double click the .torrent in which some server code will be executed. That server code will search for the peer nodes among the computers, among the network, and it will send the request to the all peer nodes, and the peer nodes which is having the file will in turn will give the response to the back to the requested node, and thereby the file transfer will takes place and all. So in the same way here also, in IPFS, only thing is you are supposed to supply the hash of the file. That's all. The rest of the thing will be taken care by the IPFS platform. So this is the way the fetching of the fetching of the file in the IPFS network takes place. We'll see how the IPFS platforms software can be downloaded, will be downloaded and installed, and how the IPFS file will be a file can be uploaded into the IPFS, and how you can share the hash to your friends so that that file can be downloaded from their end. So this is the IPFS website, https://ipfs.io. So IPFS is the fastest planetary file fastest file system which will be available on the distributed web, or which will powers the distributed web. So a peer-to-peer hypermedia protocol designed to make the web faster, safer, and more open. This is what the intention of the IPFS. You can scroll down this website. You will find so much documentation, or a lot of huge documentation about this IPFS, how it will function and all details are there. And then we'll move on to the install IPFS, store and share files. So IPFS desktop, get IPFS desktop. So this IPFS desktop is for the Windows and Mac OS, Linux is also available. And IPFS desktop is for with the graphical user interface, and you can also find a command line interface related installation. Then you can also make the IPFS cluster for as a server for the big data communication. Then IPFS companion things can also be done. At the same time, if you want to develop any application, then building with IPFS, Go implementation is available, and JavaScript implementation is also available. So for time being, for our understanding, we'll download the IPFS desktop. So your task now is to go to the ipfs.io and get IPFS desktop. Click on the IPFS desktop. So whenever you click the IPFS desktop, then it will move to the GitHub website. where you will find IPFS desktop for the Mac OS, Windows, and Linux. So for Windows, IPFS desktop setup.0.112.2.exe, just to click this and download this file. Once you download, then try to install that file. So the file installation will go like this. Choose installation option. Choose anyone who wants to use this computer. Then next. Then it will ask you for the administrator privileges. Yes. Then it will ask you for the choosing of the installation location. Next, say install. So in this way the installation will take place. So now run the IPFS desktop. So finish. So whenever you click the IPFS desktop, then you will find uh, a system tray icon, which is called IPFS desktop, and will ask you for IPFS desktop, and it is going to start now. Now here you can find in the system tray, you will find IPFS desktop. Right click on this, you will find IPFS is running, restart, stop, status, files, peers, etc. So click on files. So whenever you click on the files, then this particular GUI will be appeared. Now, in order to attach a file to the IPFS application, then what you're supposed to do is choose the file, whatever the thing you want to upload. Say, for example, I'm going on to the desktop. Then on my desktop, I'm choosing a file, and just to right click on the file, and here add to IPFS. So click on add to IPFS, then this file will be added to the IPFS. So you will find here, so here ug_emerging.pdf, you will find the file which is added to the IPFS. See, within a fraction of seconds. So usually it will take, if you attach a file to a mail or somewhere, it will take some time. But irrespective of the size, it may be in up to 50 GB or 50 MB or 500 MB, or maybe up to 1 GB also. It won't take more than 20 seconds to attach 1 GB size of file. If your internet is good, within 20 to 30 seconds, this file will be attached to the IPFS. So you can observe here, once you attach to the file to the IPFS, you will find a hash over here. This is the hash that you are supposed to give it to your friends, so that they will enter this particular hash, QM hash, in this particular link, in this particular search box, and they will go for browse. Once they browse, automatically this file they can be in a position to access. Or if you want to share the link to your friends, then click here. You will find share link. Click on the share link. You will find the QM hash code over here, so that whenever anyone know this particular link, they can easily download the file. So the downloading will also takes place with the help of the hash that was created at the IPFS end. So anyone who install this IPFS desktop on their computer and with the internet with the active internet can easily download the file with the help of this particular hash file. So this is the way IPFS will work. So my recommendation is you install the IPFS desktop, explore all the options available in this, and especially this IPFS platform is especially used for the file sharing, and whenever it is linked with the blockchain, because in blockchain you will be having many number of transactions and data exchanges, so it is better to use a fast and open file system format. That is the reason in search of that people identified that IPFS is a best suitable platform for the fast, secure, and open communication in the blockchain. But the main limitation of this IPFS is since if you know the hash of the file, then you can download the particular file from anywhere. But if the file is a very sensitive file or a confidential file, then it is very sometimes this particular thing may go into disaster, because a sensitive file cannot be downloaded just like that. And anyhow, we'll see afterwards what type of files that you can link it to the blockchain, and what kind of things that you are supposed to avoid. That and all we'll see in the later lectures. For now, you try to download the BitTorrent and also IPFS and try to explore all possible things. And also some reference links were provided in the description section of this particular video. So you go through those links and have more understanding of the BitTorrent and IPFS platforms, which are especially for the peer-to-peer file sharing, and which will avoid the appearance of the central authority, which is a main aim of the blockchain.